I tried everything on the radar to fix me. I'm telling you, everything. The end result's I'm standing on a bridge trying to take my own life because I am stuck in a trap I can't spring. I can't jumpstart the party. The alcohol is no longer a spiritual experience, and I can't live without it because there's a desolation about and a depression about my abstinence, and I'm stuck. And so after everything else, I try AA. And then in the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, I did my first 4 years of sobriety was crazy. I didn't stay sober, but I suffered periodically from untreated alcoholism. And I'm going to 15 and 20 meetings a week. I'm a GSR, I'm a DCM, I'm intergroup, I'm doing hospital and institutions, I'm going on 12-step calls. I'm trying to outrun my alcoholism. But as Chamberlain said one time, he said, the alcoholic always gets to a point where you can no longer put anything between you and you. And then the shyness where you can't outrun it anymore. And there you are. And that ain't no good. Because it's never been good, really. And there it is. And at a little over 4 years of sobriety, I started following the process in this book. And I started to finally connect with something as I cleared away the things that kept me in the driver's seat. As I started to dismantle my will in this fourth step, which is really my judgments and all the other crap. I started to connect with this power greater than myself. And my life has never been the same since. I'm no longer the guy that has to outrun his alcoholism. And yet I still go to a lot of meetings. I probably go to 7 a week, I suppose. Sometimes more, sometimes maybe 6, sometimes 8, I don't know. I have several commitments in AA, and I do that because I like the vitalization of helping others and doing service. I've connected those dots that's the good dope here. I was, right before I went back through the steps, I'll tell you this story and I'll end. I was working for a man who was trying to redeem me as an employee. And you got to understand, by the time I worked the steps again, I'd gone through 9 jobs in a little over 4 years. That'll show you where I'm at. And it's never my fault. I can't help it. I just keep ending up working for idiots. You can see through that, right? You know the truth, right? So this guy's trying to redeem me. And he gives me a set of motivational tapes, not AA. It's a set of tapes by a guy named Earl Nightingale called Lead the Field. And it's supposed to he's trying to help me become a better, less self-centered employee. And Earl tells a story in there. And when I heard this story, man, I got it. And the story, supposedly, Earl says, is true. And I've done a little research, and I think it is true to some degree. I've heard different versions of it. But the details are not important, is what the experience of hearing it. And Earl told the story about a guy in South Africa who had inherited a ranch. And it was a nice ranch. And the kind of ranch that would have put his family in good stead for generations. They could have made a nice living for themselves. But the problem was that this guy inherited this ranch at a time when the diamond boom was beginning in South Africa, when there were people who were becoming Bill Gates, mega Rockefeller rich overnight. And the more he heard the stories of their striking it rich, the more dissatisfied he became with what he had. And after a while, he was so obsessed with this, he sold his ranch and he took the money and invested it into equipment, and he went out into the bush obsessed with finding diamonds. And he never did. And one account says that he died out there broke, bitter, and alone. Another account says he threw himself into the ocean and committed suicide. But we know for one thing he didn't come to a good end. And it came to pass that this ranch he had sold to these developers, one day they're moving around some rocks and stuff, and they found these unusual looking big rocks, and they didn't know what they were. And they took them to a guy, and they found out they were uncut diamonds, and they're raw. And they discovered that this ranch was the largest diamond deposit ever recorded in South Africa. These guys became like two of the richest men in the world, like overnight. And now they have to hire all these people and develop these mines, and they got to cut the diamonds and market them and ship them for distribution all over the world. And they're talking one day, and the one guy says, the other guy says, well, we need to name our company now. And the other guy says, yeah. He says, hey, let's name it after that poor SOB we bought this place from. He says, the guy says, yeah, what was his name? He says, it was De Beers, wasn't it? And I'm listening to this story, and I'm thinking, I'm that idiot. I come into Alcoholics Anonymous, I look everywhere else for power and validation and security. In jobs, went through 9 of them. In relationships, went through a few of those. In being a GSR and a DCM and an area officer and doing H&I work and trying to get a lot of sponsees, I'm looking for security, validation, and power everywhere else. And in the last analysis, after I'm at the point where I can't outrun my self-obsessed depressions anymore and the loneliness, I started to take this journey to uncover, as Chuck would say, discover and discard the things that have been blocking me from God and ultimately from you, because it's a package. I think what Einstein said is true, that the great illusion of mankind is that there's more than one of us here. That if I want to get closer to God, I must clear away the stuff between me and you that really is the aspects of me playing God with you, the judgments, the separation, so that I can claim my place. And this is something I have struggled with, because I don't know about you guys, but I can completely dismantle the judgment machine that is self and surrender it ultimately, and within no time at all, it grows back like a bad tumor. And I'll be the guy who's in charge again. And you know how you know when you're in charge? You just start seeing the people that need straightened out around you. And I look out over you today, and you all look like you're doing pretty good. Now, if I look at you too closely, I'll start noticing a couple of you need straightened out. But I want to thank you for allowing me to be here, and thank you for my life in Alcoholics Anonymous. Thanks.